Welcome to Middle Class Matters, Business News in English from Dr. CMA ALAGESAN. Hindenburg Report on Adani, Stock Manipulation and Accounting Fraud. The Hindenburg has published a report which is read in full, part number 9. Stock Parking Entity 4, Opal Investment Private Limited. Adani Power's largest independent public investor is an opaque Mauritius-based entity called Opal Investment Private Limited, which owns 4.69% of the company, that is 90% of the reported public float. As of December 2022, Adani Power reported that 4.69% of its shares outstanding, or around 19% of the supposed public shareholdings, are held by an entity called Opal Investments Private Limited (OPAL). Opal shares many of the same suspicious characteristics of other offshore Mauritius public investors with key stakes in Adani. 1. Opal is a Mauritius shell entity. Its beneficial ownership is concealed via nominee directors as per the Mauritius Corporate Registry. We found no news articles about the investment firm, outside from media questions and confusion over why the entity is so opaque and owns so much Adani Power. Point number 3. We found no website and no employees on LinkedIn. We found no marketing materials for the investment fund. No signs that any of its principals have presented at any investment conferences. 4. Opal's investment portfolio has zero diversification. It consists solely of Adani Power shares, as per fact set. We also found evidence demonstrating a link between Opal and Adani Group. Opal was formed on the exact same day, in the exact same jurisdiction, by the same registered agent as another entity formed and controlled by Vinod Adani. Opal was incorporated in Mauritius by a small corporate services company called Trust Link International, as per Mauritius corporate records. Trust Link's CEO openly touts his close relationship to Adani Group on his own LinkedIn profile, even claiming he sits on the board of Adani Group. Rimul Rajiv, CEO at Trust Link International Limited. Gyandio Rajiv Riminal is since September 2000 CEO of Trust Link International Limited, a management company specializing in international tax and asset management. He also sits on the board of various big international companies such as the Adani Group. Trust Link incorporated Opal in Mauritius on October 4, 2005, as per Mauritius corporate records. On the exact same day, Trust Link incorporated another entity in Mauritius called Karnal Trade and Investments Private Limited, Karnal. Karnal is one of Vinod Adani's shadow companies described in Appendix 1. In addition to this, his work creating shell companies for Vinod Adani, Trust Link CEO Ruminal appears as an early director of Adani Global Limited, one of Adani's Mauritius-based holding companies. Rimul was also named in Indian Directorate of Revenue Intelligence (DRI) investigative records, having formed a key offshore entity in an Adani over-invoicing scandal. In short, Opal, a supposedly independent investment entity that owns nothing but shares of Adani Power, was created on the same day in the same jurisdiction as another suspicious entity formed by Vinod Adani, using the same small incorporation firm that openly touts its close relationship with Adani and which has been alleged to have previously facilitated fraudulent practices involving use of shell companies for Adani. Suspected stock parking entities accounted for as much as 30% to 40% of delivery volume in Adani stocks, reinforcing concerns of circuitous trading and market manipulation. That would be alarming. Being 40% of delivery is too much more like concerning the stock, cornering the stock. Institutional trader of Indian stocks. The stock parking entities bought and sold stock in the market, sometimes in a synchronized manner according to exchange data and disclosures in the annual reports of Adani listed companies. We analyzed these disclosures as a percentage of delivery volumes, a unique daily data point provided by Indian exchanges that captures large institutional flows and excludes day trading activity. The data point captures trading among foreign portfolio investors such as the suspected Mauritius entities which are not allowed to day trade in cash market in India. Using the top 10 shareholder disclosures by Adani listed companies which display granular detail on purchase and sale activities of these shareholders. We analyze the activity of the stock parking entities Montessora, Elara and New Liena and also constructed a wider data set which included 4 other Mauritius shareholders with portfolios having suspicious concentrated holdings in Adani stock. These suspicious offshore entities are EM Resurgent Fund, Asia Investment Corporation, Emerging India Focus, and Capital Trade and Investment. The trading patterns suggest that the stock parking entities and the suspicious offshore entities may have artificially inflated the volume and or price of some Adani listed companies. Suspicious trading pattern 1. Adani Transmission up to 47% of delivery volume was through stock parking entities and suspicious offshore entities. The stock parking entities accounted for 30%, 2% and 8% of the delivered volume in Adani Transmission for each year of 2018, 19 and 2020. Including Emerging India Focus, EM Resurgent Fund and Asia Investment Corporation raises the volume to 44%, 47% and 9% for 2018, 2019 and 2020. Suspicious trading pattern 2. Adani Enterprises up to 33% of delivery volume was through stock parking entities and suspicious offshore entities. The stock parking entities accounted for 22%, 19% and 3% of the delivered volume in Adani Enterprises for each of 2018, 2019 and 2020. Including EM Emergent Fund and Asia Investment Corporation raises the volume to 33% and 26% for 2018 and 2019. Suspicious trading pattern 3. Adani Power up to 33% of delivery volume was through stock parking entities and suspicious offshore entities. The stock parking entities accounted for 10%, 2% and 8% of the delivered volume in Adani Enterprises for each of 2018, 2019 and 2020. Including Emerging India Focus, EM Resurgent Fund, Asia Investment Corporation and Capital Trade and Investment raises the volume to 17%, 33% and 11% for 2018, 2019 and 2020. In Q2 2019, several of the suspected stock parking entities purchased just enough stock in Adani Green Energy to avoid violation of minimum public shareholding rules, which could have resulted in delisting. As mentioned earlier, Indian regulations require listed companies to maintain a non-promoter public float of at least 25%. In 2019, Adani Green Energy was in danger of delisting because public shareholders only accounted for 13.5% of the float. To avoid losing critical access to the public markets, Adani Green Energy completed two offerings in May and June 2019 through offer for sale. These offerings ultimately resulted in the sale of 11.58% of the company, barely reaching the 25% threshold. At the beginning of the year, it was 8,64,951. Offer for sale was 1,15,772. Our research, however, shows that the Adani Green Energy simply sold many of those shares to the stock parking entities and the suspicious offshore entities. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, give your comments. Thanks for watching.